All right, and we are ready to start. I am Captain Kirk. People sometimes just call me Kirk. I'm here with Ephotic. What's your name?
Ephotic.
Uh, all right. So this this is a new something new we're doing here, or something new I'm doing, and I'm dragging Drake along with me. What I guess let me start off by kind of explaining what this whole podcast is about. Um, Well, see, like I wanted to create something to where I could just talk to people and with people, and also help network people together. I mean, I like game development. I've been doing it off and on for a long time, and it seems to be really picking up steam. No pun intended. um, lately, with the way the interwebs is going, a lot of people making games, and I don't know,
The
Twitch is
way that
becoming
the
bigger.
inter the interwebs are happening.
Yeah, Twitch is becoming bigger. YouTube, everything. Like I don't know. I feel like, and I don't know. I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy talking about anything. I could talk all day about dirt. So like to me, it's fun. It's my outlet to just ramble and babble, and also I'm hoping to be able to network people together and talk to people in the future about what projects they're working on and just anything and everything that's related to game development and that kind of stuff. So that's kind of what Technobabble is going to be all about for me. I mean, what about you, Drake? I know I just kind of pitched this idea to you earlier today. What do you see? Like, I mean, what's
I
your
think I,
vision?
I think Technobabble is I think it's cool in the sense that we're all going to be it's going to be a group of people that explore all of these different technological outlets, and I don't mean like your hardware outlets. I mean
Yeah.
all these different sources in programming and in the computer world and all of these different things. And we kind of talk about this stuff and make people kind of realize they're there, because sometimes doing a Google search and saying, "Hey, I want to make a game," or "Hey, I want to do this program," and saying and just googling, what can I do? How can I do this? Isn't enough, because sometimes it just doesn't make it feel tangible sometimes. And we want to discuss all these different things and make everybody realize that a lot of this stuff you don't need, like for programming, you don't need an education to program. It's all about your discipline to learn and your will to learn to program. And um, we don't want anyone to think that you can't do these things on the internet using all these different programs and things like that, because there's just too much to it, or you don't have the assets required or anything. And we like to dive into programs and just kind of say, hey, these are things that you can do, and this is how you can do them.
Right. So yeah, we'll be talking a lot about actual game development itself and different engines and different techniques and things of that nature. Maybe some resources that, like, if you're new to programming or if you're trying to get into it, or maybe you just want a fresh outlook on things, to see the way somebody else does it, or to see what other people are doing. um, then that's kind of what this is about. It's also, let me talk about the format of Technobabble a little bit, because it's a little bit, I think it's a little unique, the way I want to do it here. So like, obviously, like, if you're listening to us live right now, we're streaming on twitch.tv forward slash Captain Kirk 767. Um, and so I want to try to I want to try to stream these episodes regularly. I mean, they may not always be able to happen at the same time every week, or sometimes I just may not be able to stream it at all. But I'll at least try to get it out there. But also, uh, I I want to have it available on like YouTube or iTunes and just different ways. So maybe if your thing is you like to come home after work and sit back and watch some YouTube, or sit back and just play Hearthstone or play some game or whatever you do and listen to people talk. Well then that's what kind of we're here for. Likewise, if once we get up on iTunes, then you can listen to us anywhere. And so that's kind of the format. It's a little unique. We're going to be streaming. Hopefully, in the future, we can be able to take questions, like live questions. A lot of podcasts, they'll do like email in things. And I'll probably set up an email and we can do that kind of thing too. But it's also cool to interact with people live. And so maybe in the future, we can do a little bit of that. Um, but yeah, so like I guess people want to get to know us a little bit better. I'm Captain Kirk. That's the handle I go by online. I'm not actually Captain Kirk. I'm not the real deal. Don't come after me. I don't fly at the Enterprise. Although in my fantasy world I do live on the Enterprise. But yeah, I'm kind of a amateur slash streamer slash gamer slash programmer, game designer. I mean, I do a little bit of everything. I like games. I like the communities, and I just whatever I can find, whatever I can have fun with is kind of what I do. I used to play a lot of, and I still do, not as much, but I play a lot of StarCraft 2. I did that for a while. I've worked on some games in the past. Nothing. I don't think I've ever made a game that actually got finished though. So that's kind of sad. But when I met you, Drake, we were working on StarCraft 2 projects together. We were making custom maps. Yeah, why don't you like what? So
Yep.
who are you and what are you about? And tell us a little bit about
Your mother.
that.
I'm attempting college again. I dropped out because I couldn't discipline myself to do it. I've been programming since I approximate around 8. I don't really know when I started. I know I was pretty damn young, and I started with StarCraft 1, and I wouldn't really consider that programming, but it was more of an outlet and got me into programming. So,
What do
um,
you what do you mean you started out in StarCraft 1? Like just for people who may not know about um, the
StarCraft
game.
1 was it was like an RTS game, and it's the predecessor to StarCraft 2, and even in a way, kind of Warcraft 3-ish. They're all kind of the same. It had an editor in it, and you could just like make your own games and play them online. And it was really simple. You didn't really have to know how to code or anything like that. And I was really young, and my dad got me into it. And ever since then, it's just been like something I had. Um, I wouldn't consider myself a professional programmer because I don't have a degree or anything in that scenario, but I would definitely say that I can compete with pretty good programmers. I feel like I would be able to be in a much higher position if I was offered a job in programming or something like that because I have been doing it for a while and I know my way around pretty well.
What's the first thing you ever programmed? Do you remember?
Uh, I guess the first.
I mean, like besides the little Hello World things that you kind of
Well,
learned
yeah, I'm trying to. I mean, I made a calculator when I was like 10,
when you were
and
10.
it just kind of. Yeah, it
What did
just
it?
did like. It didn't do like anything crazy, like graphs or anything. It just added shit and stuff. Like it is. I wasn't like making sine curves and like, oh,
But
this is your arc tangent of the dot product of 32. No,
well, so like one of the things like people say when they're trying to get into programming, or maybe just interested in it, they want to know, well, what language should I start off learning, or what engine should I use, and all these questions. Like, what was that for you? Like, what language? Well, first of all, like, what languages do you know how to program in? And I guess secondly, what's your favorite?
oh, my favorite. It all depends. Okay, well, all languages I know how to program in. Geez. Uh, I mean, I don't want to make this like some kind of show off thing. I mean, not that programming has really ever
You
been
so you're
considered
you're you're
show
pretty,
offable.
yeah, but you're pretty. So I
Yeah.
guess you're pretty well versed in most programming languages, at least to some degree, to
Really.
the
Okay. Well,
basics.
from what I've learned, if you learn one of the four types of programming, you can learn them all. That's functional, imperative, OOP, and the other one that I forgot the name of. And um, if you learn one of those, like C is a functional, and C plus plus is an OOP, and an OOP means object oriented, which is what all your games are written in.
Hmm.
Um, and all these languages, they all have their different uses. PHP is a function or is an imperative, um, but they all have their different uses. I wouldn't know that I have a favorite. I guess if I was to like, if I wanted to make something that I completely called my own, I would say C is probably my favorite,
C,
just
just
because of
regular.
yeah, regular C is the shit.
I mean, I don't like. I mean, I'm not as well versed in it as you are, but I from what I've heard, like C is probably where you want to start. I mean, was that what you would recommend to people trying to start learning how to program?
No,
Is that not
no,
no, not at all?
no. Well, okay. Well, here's the thing about C. C is a very complicated programming language, and the main reason for it being so complicated is that there's no garbage collection in C, and garbage collection is basically what keeps your program from having all these memory leaks and causing build-up lag. Um, I think if someone's gonna learn, like if they have never programmed before, they need to learn with either C++
Hmm.
or
C sharp.
or Python. No, yeah, C sharp's not bad. You can do C sharp. But like if you'd never programmed before, I would really consider Python. It's pretty much a useless language other than the fact that it's very easy to write. And it's got a lot of it kind of fixes its own errors kind of thing. It's you can't really make a whole lot of syntax mistakes.
Hmm. Yeah.
Uh, so Python's pretty good for that for learning.
Okay. Well, see, speaking of syntax, so you are you are like a part of Team Syntax, which is a game developer. Do you want to explain what Team Syntax is and what you guys are about?
Team Syntax is a company with definite quotes around it.
Say that one
Um,
more time. You broke up. I missed that.
oh, I'm sorry. I would call it a company, but it's definitely not that prestigious. But it's Team Syntax is it's basically a group. It actually still does in somewhat of a way consist of Captain Kirk here.
Yeah.
Because he does all of our artwork. But I guess he's never really been like on the programming side of Team Syntax. But Team Syntax, we have our own forum at teamsyntax.com, and it's just me, my friend Megablast, and I, which his real name is Tim, and um,
Shout out
we're
to Tim.
just we're basically trying to break into the world of we used to do like StarCraft 2 mods and other thing mods like that, but we're trying to break into the world of actually owning our own game that we put out to the world, which is actually what I'm doing right now.
As we speak, you're
Yeah,
coding.
as yeah, I am.
True dedication right there. What are
Yeah,
you
that's
coding
that.
though? Let's talk about that a little bit because that's something I wanted to bring up, and it'll segue good into the next topic. But
Yeah.
so yeah, so tell me a little bit. I mean, I already know obviously, but to people listening who may not know what this project is, as
One
he
second.
types.
1 second. I'm typing for you. I'm
Okay.
like, really, yeah. I'm directing people to your channel at the moment,
Oh no,
and you're
that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, direct them all here, man. Direct them all. Gotta get them all. So I guess you're working on what is it? It's a multiplayer game. Now see, let's back up for a second because you started off in StarCraft, which I think I came along a little bit before this. Well, or maybe right at the beginning. Is when I met you. You were doing something in StarCraft 2, a custom map called Magecraft, which has actually become very popular. I don't know if it's still as popular as it used to be on the arcade, but
I think I haven't updated. I updated it a little bit ago, but I believe it's actually more popular than it was before, and it hasn't been updated in quite a bit.
nevertheless, at one point in time, it was all the rage. And if you never
Yeah.
played StarCraft 2's and the arcade, if you've never played Magecraft, you should definitely go play it because it's a lot of fun. Basically, Magecraft was it was a game where you played a mage essentially, and you use different spells to kill the enemy players, and the last player standing wins. I mean, it was a little more complicated than that, but that's the basics, right?
Yeah.
So
Pretty much. Yeah.
and I remember at one point you wanted to break away from like Magecraft being StarCraft 2, like a StarCraft 2 mod, well not mod, but um, and you wanted
Well,
to
it
make
is.
it you wanted to make it its own game essentially, and that's kind of where you is when
Yeah, and I did.
but
I got pretty far. Um, Basically, I don't know. I made it as its own standalone game, and I'm actually on the forum that I mentioned earlier. I'm actually getting ready to do a pretty depressing post about why that game didn't work out and why it's a long, it's a big long, it's a lot of stuff. I'm not going to explain. There's a lot of reasons it didn't work out, but um, if you have played Magecraft and you are looking forward to a like a sequel or something like that, that post is coming up on Team Syntax. I've actually got it done. I just haven't released it to public yet. I haven't made it available for them to view, and because it's I just wanted to make sure that I had another game coming up and behind it before I released the post. But basically, I was making it, and a lot of issues got in the way of the actual final development, and I realized that the game, because of what I was doing it on, was not going to be as good as the mod as far as fluidity and gameplay goes. And I have no desire to make a game that's not as good, to make a prequel to a game that's not as good as a sequel. Um, and I realized this, and I said, all right, I'm just gonna have to start a new project because obviously, this is just not working out, and there's no reason to waste more time making a game that's just not going to be as good as its prequel was, or as its sequel. Sorry, and so now I'm developing this new game, and I'm using Unity to do it. Which,
but
what were we gonna say, Kirk?
yeah, and this new game though, I mean, so it's kind of a spin-off maybe in a way of Magecraft. It's a different game, of course, but it was obviously inspired by Magecraft, I think, right?
Yes,
Um,
very much so.
and so what is this new project that you're working on? And you do stream, right? So people can watch you develop this as the process continues.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I stream pretty much anytime that I'm developing the game. I'm pretty much streaming the development. Um, Sometimes it's kind of interesting. I'll be honest. Sometimes it's interesting to watch the development, but other times I get stuck on something and I'll be sitting there for hours trying to fix one thing, and that I can imagine that's not the most interesting thing to watch.
Well, you say that, but again, sometimes I'll just have your stream open, or maybe
Oh,
what?
a guy is in my a guy is in my channel that was looking forward to a Magecraft remake.
Yeah, well, sorry to let him down, but no, like I was saying, you like sometimes I'll just be watching your stream or other streamers. People like there's because that's a big thing now. People are programming, developing games, and they're streaming it or they're posting their progress, whether it's like early alpha access or just streaming the development or sharing their code or whatever. There's a lot of different ways people do it. But for example, just the streaming thing, I'll throw up a stream and I'll just sometimes I'm doing whatever I'm doing, but I just have that on in the background as something to listen to, and I think a lot of people actually do that. Um, and so even though like you may feel like it, I guess this is targeted towards people thinking about doing this kind of thing, streaming their development process. If you're considering, oh well, like it's not interesting, people aren't going to want to watch it. Well, like who cares? Like if you're having fun, there's somebody out there that'll have fun with you and that'll watch you you know, no matter what. I think. But there's all but that, yeah if people want to watch you stream, they can go to your Twitch, which is twitch.tv/ts underscore aphotic aphotic.
Yes.
Um, and so that's that, I guess. What was the I was asking you something, and now I don't remember what I was asking you. Um, oh yeah, the game. Like what is this game? Like we've been talking about it. What's it about?
Okay.
I mean, I know you.
So
Whatever you can explain, at least.
I'm streaming the me playing the game while talking on your stream, and it's just It's interesting. This new game is definitely inspired by the Magecraft concept slash sorcerer for the people that know about the sequel that was coming. This new game is it's based on that in a lot of aspects. That it's based on casting spells and those spells having to be aimed in order to hit players rather than just automatically seeking to players and things like that. Um, but this new game is a lot different in the fact that there's a few things that are different. Basically, in Sorcerer, when you got hit by spells, you would be pushed back or pulled or however the spell affected it, but it was all physics based. And with that, there was an arena that it was kind of a bland arena, but it was made for the game, and it was a very fun arena, but it didn't have a lot of texture to it. You were just basically on this square island that got smaller and smaller, and it was surrounded by lava. And being pushed out into the lava would deal significant amount of damage. And that was just for that style of game. It was fun for that style of game, but you wouldn't use that arena anywhere else because it's just not. It just doesn't have the visual stunning appeal to it. So with this new game, it's not based on the physics in that aspect, and the reason it's not the reason I'm doing a game like this and it not being based on the physics is because of the server issues that I mentioned in my big post that I was talking about earlier. Um,
Yes.
Sorry, I was reading a post. I was reading it and I was gonna reply to somebody and sorry. I guess the whole double streaming isn't a good idea, maybe. Um, it might not be the way to go because it's causing a little bit of delay. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine.
So this new game, the idea of this new game is it is a player versus player kind of thing. Well, there's one mode that's a player versus player kind of thing, and instead of being a free for all like Magecraft was, it's team based. And in this game, there will be monsters in the arena other than just the players. Not a lot, but they'll kind of come into the arena and attack and stuff. And by killing the monsters and stuff, you'll get all kinds of different materials and stuff that drop off of them. All these just random stuff, and when you kill players, you'll be able to take their bones and all this stuff. You'll be able to put their blood in vials and things like that. And all of these materials that you get can be combined to make new spells. And so basically, what it comes down to is it's a spellcrafter game where you have to use the materials that you have available to you to make spells that kind of counter your opponent and to help beat the other team. Whether those spells be things that make you turn invisible, or give you a shield, or warp in time, or run faster, or teleport, or shoot a lava ball, or a homing missile, or something. It's a very large variety of spells. There's really going to be a pretty massive list of different kinds of spells that you can use, and they all have components to them that damage using fire or damage using nature and poison and all these different things. So it's going to be a kind of a strategy version of Magecraft in a sense, and that's
Right.
really all I have.
So
That's
is it
just the
going to be
player.
kind of Magecraft? If I remember correctly, it was kind of a every man free for all, every man for himself, right? Um,
Well, yeah, pretty much. I mean, there was a team deathmatch mode, but most people played the free for all.
now, is there a reason since like the free for all, like you just said, was so successful with Magecraft? Why aren't you going to incorporate, or are you going to incorporate a free for all version? And if not,
Um,
then why?
in this game, I was okay. Well, in this game, the free for all version, the free for all aspect was really fun in Magecraft because everybody was kind of in a small arena and you were all going at each other. In this game, there's going to be a little bit more time spent, setting up your character and building spells and creating new items and things like that to prepare your character for battle. So I feel like a free for all isn't gonna. I mean, I may make a free for all. I'll definitely test a free for all. Whether it actually becomes a release product or not isn't decided because I have a fear that a free for all is going to lead to kind of more of a game where some dude sits in the back and gets all of these different items and doesn't go out there and fight or anything, and then he kind of comes out of nowhere with all these badass spells, and it's just I just don't see it being very fluid with the style of gameplay I have in mind.
You know what I'm seeing as you're describing this game? I see, and tell me how accurate this may be, if at all. I see like a mixture of League of Legends or Dota 2 or something like that, versus mixed with like Call of Duty, like right? Because you got, I mean, even on, I mean, the reason I say that is because you've got like the spells and the casting and the crafting and all that stuff of like a fantasy game like League of Legends, or even Warcraft, um, but then you have like, and in those games you also have a team scenario, like your own teams with each other. But there's more to it than just fighting the other team. The little minions are coming down the lanes, and you gotta keep your towers from dying and all that shit. Um, but this game is more like you still get to use the spells and all that cool stuff, but it's more like tactical, like Call of Duty is, like where it's more tactical, or Counter Strike or something. So I mean, does that make sense to you? Is that because that's kind of
Well,
how I'm seeing
it's
it?
it's actually really funny that you mentioned that, and the reason I say that is because I actually had an idea of making a search and destroy based mode. If you played a lot of Call of Duty and ever played Search and Destroy, do you
Hmm.
happen to know what that is,
Yeah,
Clark?
where you gotta, isn't that the one where you have to get the bomb or defuse the bomb
Yeah,
rather?
yeah, and I was trying to think of some kind of concept where you had to go to the other team's like starting zone and like plant. I don't know, probably won't be a bomb, considering, yeah, the game style. But I love the style of that game because the whole concept of you don't revive, and when you get killed, you're dead until the end of the round kind of thing is really cool because, and I think it'll really suit this game because I just love the whole. It's so much more tactical. It's like, hey, we got to get over to here, or we have to kill the other team, but you can't die. Like if you're dying, you're getting kicked out of the room, and I really like that. I kind of like the elite, I guess, elitist style games more, where all the bad players are like getting yelled at for being bad, and all the good players are like, yeah. I mean,
It's
and
people like you. It's people like you, Drake, that make me
I,
not want to play these kind of games because I'm one of the bad players and I'm always getting yelled at.
yeah, I mean, yeah, but I don't know. I'm not really an elitist jerk myself, but I do like the style of game that brings those kind of people, because those kind of people they kind of make the competitive game like, yeah, they're assholes, and
Well,
yeah, they're kind of.
let's just say what you really want to say. Those are the diehard fans that are going to play your game like constantly and spend money on it.
What I'm saying is I want my game to be that kind of competitive environment
Right,
where
for sure.
like, okay, like we have a team member that's really fucking us up, and we need to get rid of that guy right now. That kind of thing. And I hate. I guess I'm not like a fan of the attitude of like, instead of helping a noob, killing a noob kind of thing.
Hmm.
But the that's how you get esports, though. Those are the kind of games that are so competitive, they kind of piss their players off. Those are the games that become esports games.
Right. Now I got a
You know what I mean?
question. No, definitely for sure. Uh, Game. I mean, they require skill, right? And
Yeah,
um,
and cooperation is a big one.
yeah, cooperation. Which leads me to the question I was going to ask. So is there any kind of, I don't want to say balance because obviously like there's going to be balance involved, but when I say balance, what I mean is when you, let's say you are like you do have a team of 2 or 3 people that you play with. I don't know how big. Do you know how big the teams are going to be, or you haven't really tested any of that yet?
Right now, there's not really like a set size. I use the basic World of Warcraft arena team size just because it fits right. It's
Right.
You can do 2 versus 2, 3 versus 3, or 5 versus 5. That's not really set in stone. In any way is that set in stone at all. That's just like a basic testing kind of thing.
Right. Well, I also think actually that kind of does answer the question. What I was going to ask is, let's say you're in a 5v5 kind of situation, and like you're with 3 of your friends, but the two extra people that you get placed on your team are just like noobs or trolls or whatever, and they're just like not helping you win at all. and playing those kind of games where you have that happen is really like it can discourage you and piss you off to where you don't even want to play the game anymore because you keep getting stuck with all these people. Now a lot of people will say, well, just find two other friends and play the game, but when you're like me, you don't have a lot of friends, and
Yeah, I mean, I know how I know how you are. Like, I
so
mean,
that becomes harder to do. Now, I guess with a 2v2, it does make it more simple because it's a lot easier to find one friend than it is to find four friends to play a game with you. Um, but then when you say that, I'm thinking like, I can't fit. I mean, and maybe you come up with a new format that works like great and it's like innovative and people love it. But I'm thinking like, when you think about competitive esports types of games, you it's there's one mode. There's not like a 2v2. I mean, there are two other modes, but the tournament style, there's like a tournament, I guess, a tournament mode, right? You know what I mean? Like this is the ranked mode. This is how you rank up, right? You can play these other modes, but this is what causes you to rank, and this is how you are ranked among uh, everyone else who plays the game. Are you gonna have like a ranking system?
yeah, I'm using a rating system probably. I don't really know exactly how I want to do it. I'll be honest. Uh, like League of Legends, I think it uses once you get to level 30, whatever it is, like the max level. Because I play Dota 2. I got I don't know. I don't play a lot of League of Legends, but most people do. A lot more people. I'd say a lot more people play League of Legends than Dota 2. So it's more of a just something I can use. But I believe in League of Legends, you get you get to level 30, and then I think after that you get like some kind of rating or something when you play.
Hmm.
If Jake was in the chat right now, he would definitely be able to confirm that. Doubt he is because he plays a lot of Dota 2. Um, and I like that kind of system because you do the kind of leveling up as is like I don't know if I would make it all the way to 30. I think it would be less. But the you do the leveling up where everybody sees like your level and they can be like, well, this guy's level 1, he's probably pretty damn new, and unless he just made another account, but whatever. And then you can kind of play and learn the game through those levels. And then once you reach the maximum level, that's when you start getting like the actual rating and things like that, like the numbers that really really count. And so I
Right.
think what that system does is it's really good at getting all the players used to the game before they start. I think it gets players used to the game, and we're talking about League of Legends Eclipse. I think it gets players used to the game before they start getting into such a competitive environment. Because from what I remember in League of Legends, leveling up 1 through 30 wasn't like you kind of if you screwed up, you didn't get like badgered because everybody else was kind of shitty too. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And
And and
that's what I was asking. Yeah. Are you gonna have something that kind of balances it all out as far as
and
skill
I'll
caps?
probably use a system pretty much like that. I think that system works out really well.
I agree. I do. I mean, it's been used by many, many, many games. Um, hey, going back real quick, I was reading a question in the chat. Let's backstep to Magecraft again real quick. You were talking about you're kind of done with that and you're moving on and you don't really plan on doing any updates. But ASOC asks, do you think you will do one last big update from Magecraft, kind of like a farewell, or are you going to focus your undivided attention to the new game?
Uh, that's a hard one to answer because as of right now, the Magecraft community has actually gotten hate to ditch them. They got larger. Scotty B went back. ASOC knows who Scotty B is. He went back and started up some kind of tournaments and stuff, and they've been doing tournaments since then. And this was just like a week or two ago. Nah, probably 2 or 3, more like. And and he's kind of brought the community for Magecraft back to life. And so, am I working on a big farewell update to Magecraft at the moment? No, that's the answer to that. Will it happen? I don't know. I would really rather focus my attention on the new game completely. But at the same time, a lot of my people that talk to me on a daily basis
A lot
and
of your
all that's
people.
well, a lot of my followers, I should say, that follow
Right.
my new game, and sorry, and they visit the Team Syntax forum, and anytime I have an update, I get all kinds of replies from these people. These are, and so to leave them in the dark, is kind of, well, that's kind of, it's bad. It's not cool for me to do, one, and two, it it's really not good for me either, because those are the people that are going to be testing my game and helping me.
It's like on
It's
one
like
hand it's bad, on the other hand it's still bad, but I'm still not gonna do it.
no, that's not true. That's not true.
Yeah.
No. I want to make. I want to bring an update to Magecraft for those people, but the amount of time that it is required to make a standalone game is. I mean, you've been watching me lately, Kark. You see how long it takes to get just simple things done.
Right.
It is such a long. It's such a long project. It's hours and hours and hours, and that's not including I'm a college student, and I live on my own, so I have a job and all these other things, and I have a girlfriend, which is we all know
Yeah.
how that is.
Might as well just
Yeah.
like that. That's
I
half of
mean,
it right there, at least.
that's like 90% of the time. The other
Yeah.
5% spent on school. The other 2% spent on work, and then the 3%. Yeah, you get what I'm saying.
Totally. Well, hey, I got a quick.
So
I had
it's
a. I'm
just
sorry. Go
is
ahead. Finish your
it
thought.
sorry, the question isn't really am I going to make it, do I want to make a new Magecraft update to please everyone? It's more so where's the time?
Right.
And
Well,
I would love to.
I had a thought, and like I don't know how you feel about this. But what about like handing the torch for Magecraft over to someone else to let them update it for you?
I did that. I tried. I handed it over to what was his name? Muffin FTW. I don't know if you happen to know him, ASOC. He did 3 or 4 updates for it, and everyone got really pissed at the updates he was doing, and so I had to go back through and change everything back. So
Yeah. Okay. So it just didn't work
and
out
I
for you.
yeah, it just didn't work out. And I tried giving it to Mega Blast, and Mega Blast is like, you know how he is. He's so flighty. He's so flighty. I love him to death, but he's just like, it's you can't.
So Mega Blast,
There's no-
if you're hearing this,
yeah, fuck you. Long
uh,
story short,
well, I mean,
not really.
all good things have to come to an end, right? Like, I mean, I'm pretty bummed out because StarCraft's not as cool as it used to be, right? Like, I mean, people still play it. There's still, I think WCS Europe is happening right now, even, but it's just not the same. Like, and I think when Legacy of the Void comes out, it'll bring more attention back to it, and people will come back at least for a little while. But there's gonna come a time, when it's just not the hot game anymore, and it's not the hot game even now. I think probably like the only game I can think of that has been consistently like in the spotlight for a very long, significant period of time, um, would
World of
be
Warcraft.
World of Warcraft. I was gonna say League of Legends or Dota 2. Those two games, man, like you go to Twitch, like the majority of people on Twitch are watching League of Legends. Or not these days, Hearthstone's starting to catch up, but anyway, the point is like you gotta sometimes you just gotta let it go and move on to something bigger and better because there will be something better that comes along. That's why the old game is the old game because there's a new better game. So I mean, but it's still like at least it's still out there, right? And people still enjoying playing it, and I guess that's probably all you could ask for.
Yeah, I agree with that completely. But at the same time, the people that are following my game and testing my game are playing Magecraft. So it also boils down to like where.
Well, I mean, I guess I mean, ideally, what you want is to bring that Magecraft community to your new community, to be a part of your new
Yeah,
community.
that is that ideally, yeah, that is what I want to do. But I have to have my new game up and running before that, because as of right now, they have nothing to play.
Right, that's
You know
true.
what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, you're kind of in a void area. But anyway, so that's enough about Magecraft, I guess. So let's back switching gears again, back to the new game. Do you have like a project name for the game, or is it or like what are you calling it? this new thing you're working on, so we don't have to
Um,
just refer
I'm
to it as
actually
the new game.
I'm actually still calling it Sorcerer. It's still the prototype name. I don't know if it's gonna change. I really don't know. I mean, Sorcerer is not really a taken game name, so I can use it if I want
Until
to.
now,
So yeah,
you say it on a podcast or on a stream, and now it's
yeah. Um, so as of right now, Sorcerer is the still the name of the new game. Don't know if it's gonna change. It may. That's all I
um.
got.
So and what? So like again, because like the whole thing I want Technobabble to kind of also be about is I mean it's fun to sit and talk to other game developers or just talk to friends about games and things like that. But I also kind of would like to, if there's any way at some point we can help people who are thinking about jumping into this world or who are new to the world by answering some of their questions. I think it's important to talk about the engine that you are using to program Sorcerer. Um, and talk a little bit about that engine. Unity is the engine you're using, and it's a pretty
Yep.
popular game engine. I think a lot of game developers are using it. You actually told me the other day that Hearthstone was programmed using Unity.
Yes.
I don't know if a lot of people knew
Hearthstone is
that.
made with Unity. Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. The reason they use Unity is because Hearthstone was it was a project that was only being, I think, like the team for it at first. I'm sure it's bigger now that it's such a big game, but like it was a very underfunded project by Blizzard. And I think the team when it started out, and don't at all quote me on this, but I know the team was extremely small, somewhere between like I would say 10 people, maybe less, probably less. Because I read some stuff on it. I don't know the exact numbers, but I know that. Well, in a to put it this way, currently there are 80 people that are working. 83, if I remember right, are working on World of Warcraft alone. And considering Hearthstone was such an underfunded program, and it was so underfunded that they even used a program develop. It's designed for any indie developers in a AAA company like Blizzard. I can only imagine that the thing on Hearthstone when it was being developed will very group of college kids making a game together. I would imagine
Say that last sentence one more time. I'm sorry, I lost you a little bit.
almost like a group of college kids developing a game together.
Right. Yeah. But no. But it's still cool though because like I think it sheds uh, some
And
sighs of relief on people to know that wow, like Hearthstone's like one of the biggest games out there right now, and it
oh
was made
yeah,
on this engine that I can download for free right now, and
you
code on.
oh yeah, oh yeah, and with how simple Hearthstone is, without it, it doesn't use. I mean, the coding is probably pretty well written, but it's not at all a very complex game. Um, and the server side worked for it. It's they play. I mean, they you wouldn't even have to use a real server to duplicate Hearthstone in all of its and everything. It's such a simple game, and I think that's what it boils down to. Is it's when you're creating a game as an indie developer, people don't ever sit back and say, "Hey, is this goal possible for with just myself?" You know?
Right. Like
Yeah.
because I mean I think that's something that turns off a lot of people. We were talking about it earlier today. Um, how well, like I really like coding and it's something I'm good at, but I mean I can't make 3D models or art of any kind, and I just don't have like if I were to code a game, it'd be nothing but it looked like Pong, with like a black background and two white rectangles and a little white circle, and that's fine too. Like a lot of people start off just using temporary graphics like that to get it up and going, but the cool thing about Unity, like you were saying earlier, is there's a well tell us a little bit about it. There's like a store or some sort of forums you can go to download or buy like fully licensed models and things like that.
Yeah. Unity is it's a lot of game development tools out there like UDK, Unreal Engine, CryEngine. These engines were previously designed for AAA companies, um, meaning that they weren't designed for the average user, like your indie developer. Um, so these programs, like, they don't have a lot going for them as far as they're great programs. Don't get me wrong, but for an indie developer, using these programs isn't. I think Mitch is back, and I think he was actually here for this same kind of conversation we had this morning when we were getting ready for this. Um, um, all these other programs like UDK and everything, they're great programs. Most of them are generally ideas. I'm a big fan of Unity. Don't get me wrong, um, but there the lack of community and lack of asset help and things like that is just that's a big struggle for your indie developer. Those are great programs if you have even a small group of people who can work with UDK, but an engine like CryEngine is almost designed for a company to use, which isn't a problem. But up until the time that Unity came out and became such a popular thing for communities, there wasn't really an engine other than like RPG Maker or whatever that was for actual indie developers, like some guy who's alone who doesn't have assets and doesn't have I don't mean like some dude living in his mom's basement exactly, but some guy who just he doesn't have a lot he doesn't know programmers and he doesn't know um, modelers and things like that. He doesn't have all this access. Unity really shed some light on whether a project was possible for those kind of people.
Right. No,
And
go
oh,
ahead.
sorry, no, go
No,
for it.
I was gonna say you mentioned RPG Maker, and I that is one of the very first programs I ever coded on. I think RPG Maker 2000 actually.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so that brings back some memories. I don't know if you guys remember RPG Maker 2000, but that was, man, little like pixelated graphics and tile sets, and oh
but
man.
before Unity came along, that was all there was for the indie developer. You know what I'm saying? Like all there was like RPG Maker where yeah, if you can make sprites, you can make a game, man. And making sprites isn't really considered making art. I mean, some of it is. Some people are wrong, but for the general like your general
For
Mario looking
today, yeah,
sprite,
today's standards, it's like, well, I
yeah,
mean, you say that, but there's a lot of games out there now that are kind of going
yeah,
back to the 2D, 8-bit graphic style, and
yeah,
having
that's
lots of
true.
success. So I mean, really, even then, like, but if you're looking for, I mean, but sometimes those kind of engines, like the idea you have in your head or like what you want to accomplish just isn't possible with that kind of stuff, or it might be possible, but it's way more work and way more complicated than it should be or than it needs to be. Um,
Yeah,
if it's possible at all. But the thing about Unity, I guess Unity is like the RPG Maker or the adventure game studio of like the modern era. With
it
because
is. It is.
the
That's
3D.
that's yeah.
Well, because Unity, like you can still program 2D stuff. You can still do your 8-bit style, pixelated graphics if you want, but you can also do 3D. It's completely, and I think and like I said, I'm just learning Unity right now. Like you're actually teaching it to me, so there's not. I mean, you know way more about it than me, but um, I mean Unity, from what I can tell, can do everything that you could want it to do, and you have
Yeah.
resources coming out the ass.
Yeah. Unity is a pretty damn good. Uh, uh, I mean, I wouldn't consider making it like an MMO or anything on it, but if you've ever heard of an indie developer who's making an MMO, um, he'll be dead long before it ever gets finished, and because that's just you just don't have like no, I mean no
We
amount
just,
of resources.
you know how many dreams you just crushed right there, Drake. Like you just crushed so many
Well,
dreams, all the dreams.
sometimes I mean, sometimes it's about reality, facing reality, and the reality is there's just not enough time in the world for a single developer to make an MMO. Even if he had all of the assets given to him, um, you would never be able to compete with any of today's MMOs. like,
Right. Like,
there. I mean, and
did you ever
you know,
play oh shit. What was like the big MMO? Oh man.
World of Warcraft?
No, 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 no. Way before that. Um, Come on, what is it? The one with like
RuneScape?
no, no. You're getting closer though. It was even before RuneScape. Ultima Online.
Ultima.
Ultima Online.
Yeah,
Yes. Oh man, that game was so fun. Oh man, that's like.
yeah.
I mean, I want to see a remake of Ultima Online that's like as good as that game was, but like modernized. You know what I mean?
Did you see that thing Albion online?
No, I haven't. What is that?
It's kind of like an Ultima Online slash RuneScape Online slash Diablo 3 looking game.
Oh, that sounds kind of cool. I'll have to check it out. What's it called again?
Actually, I think Albion Online. That's what it was called. I think it actually uses Unity.
What?
Um,
You think it uses Unity? Is that what you said?
I think it does. I could be wrong on that. Let me Albion Online develop. Well, I mean, not that it like super matters.
No,
Yes, it's
it
Albion Online is using the. Okay, so maybe I could be wrong. Maybe even Unity is more powerful than I thought it was. And I love Unity, but I just couldn't have. I didn't think that it was something that you would use to write an MMO.
well, yeah,
And
like I'm saying.
apparently,
Apparently, what?
yeah, we were just talking about that, Eric.
No, like I mean that's. I mean, I used to do a lot of programming on an engine called Adventure Game Studio, which is still like there's a lot of cool like basically it's a point and click engine. Like if you remember the old point and click games like Sam and Max and Indiana Jones: Fate of Atlantis and what are the other ones? Day of the Tentacle. Even the older like Space Questy kind of games that were more syntax based than like mouse based. Those that's what Adventure Game Studio was about or is about. I mean, you can do a lot of other things with it too. You have to think outside of the box. Um, but when you have code at your fingertips and like you don't have a lot of limitations, then you can literally do anything you can think of as long as you can make it work. And so I mean, thinking outside of the box is a big part of programming, I think. And Unity, like, I mean, I'm just so excited about it and to learn it and to get to know it better and to share it with people who, I mean, I don't think there's very many people now who don't know about Unity, especially in the game development world. But if you don't know about Unity, dude, check it out. Uh,
Yeah,
what,
I think Unity is a really great program. As I said, it's more so for the indie developer. Apparently, some bigger companies are using it to make these MMOs and things, and that's really cool. If I was to make an MMO, I would probably not use Unity, preferably, because there are more powerful engines out there. But and the reason that there are more powerful engines out there is because Unity is literally designed 3D game programming development kit designed for a very small group, if not only one person, to be able to come out with a three-dimensional uh, AAA quality graphic setting video game. And that's that's really cool. Like you couldn't do that before. You were stuck with, like we said, RPG Maker. And so I think it's really encouraging to think, like, if you are wanting to develop a game and you just think, I don't have these assets to use, I don't have the art skills, but I know how to program and stuff like that. I've never even heard of Bolt Network, actually. But as I was saying, if if you're thinking, oh, there's no way I can get all these assets, the assets are what's bothering me. Man, Unity has such an awesome asset store, and you might not be able to make what you were thinking of that you had in your head because you kind of are limited to having to pick what's already been made. But man, you can make something if you want to.
well, yeah, and I mean, the other cool thing about Unity is, like, even let's say like you don't know anything about uh, Java, but you can program in C all day long or C sharp. Uh, Unity, you can program in like there's like three different programming languages that are compatible with Unity, right?
Yeah, you can use Boo, which is basically Python. I wouldn't suggest using it unless you're just an absolute programmer beginner, because Boo is just not as powerful, really. It's it's to a new person who doesn't know how to program, Boo looks great because it's pretty much all written out. But to a programmer, it's like a nightmare because it's like, why is all this written out? But the new person can like look at it and be like, oh, I know what that does, and that's what's cool about Boo. But if you know your way around programming at least decently well, I would suggest using C Sharp or JavaScript. I would really suggest using C Sharp just because I like it more, but it doesn't really matter. JavaScript or C Sharp, they're about OOPs, and as far as OOPs go, uh, they don't really. And for the they're all
Sorry,
about
you're
the
breaking
same.
up again. Say that one more time, please.
For all the higher end OOPs like C Sharp and C++ and JavaScript, there's better and everything, but I really think it just boils down to personal preference. C++ may be a little better than the other two, but OOPs have so much garbage collection material that drowns down their power, that they're all really about the same as far as efficiency and everything goes. If you can't, yeah. So really, it just comes down to personal preference over C Sharp and JavaScript, and Boo is your beginner, I don't know how to program kind of thing.
Yeah, Boo is a lot simpler. I was looking at. I've never programmed in it before, but I was looking at it, and it does look a lot like there's a lot less crap going on. You know what I mean? It looks like very simplified coding, but I also imagine that would apply a lot of restrictions, I guess, or make things more complicated. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I just don't know what I'm talking about. But no, we're wrapping up. It's getting close to that time. First of all, if you guys are watching live on, well, you're streaming this as well, Ephotic, TS
Yeah.
underscore Ephotic, or Captain Kirk 767 on Twitch. Um, just I mean, we're gonna let's if there's anybody that has any questions right now, we got a couple minutes to take a few questions. So if you guys are listening and you want to ask some questions before we end this episode, then go ahead and throw those out there. In the meantime, while we're waiting on that, I just want to tell people, just to recap what we said at the beginning. This is kind of a new podcast slash stream show thing, hybrid deal that I'm putting together. I want to do it about once a week, and basically just talk with other game developers and other people who even just play games, or who are in the industry in some way, or want to get into the industry in some way, and just talk about different things in the gaming world, and have fun doing that, and maybe teach some people some things, or maybe network people together. Lots of things that are possible. But right now this is obviously being streamed live. But if you're not, obviously, if you're listening to this in the future, then you're probably either listening to it on iTunes or YouTube or somewhere like that. I want to get it out in as many different formats as possible. So maybe if you miss the live shows, you can always check out the VODs or the archive on YouTube or iTunes, and follow me on Twitter. And if you have any questions about that, or if this is something you want to continue to follow me on my Twitter. My Twitter is Captain Kirk SE2. It's CPT Kirk SE2. And I'll be tweeting when we go live. I'll be tweeting when the VODs come out. I'll be tweeting where you can get it, where you can get that. Just different things. If you have questions or you want to hear a topic discussed in a future episode, let me know. But anyway, so I guess that's about it. Do you have any shout outs or anything you want to say? Any plugs or anything like that?
If you're an indie developer, use Unity. There's no reason to use another game development program. The community, just having the community there for all the questions that are answered. You can Google almost anything on Unity, and there's an answer out there. There's just too much out there that will save you so much time using Unity. If you're thinking about making a game and you can't decide what program to use and you have very limited resources, I can't stress enough how you need to learn Unity right now. You need to close my cast, and you need to go to Unity, and you need to download that shit, and you need to open it, and you need to figure it out, because it is just it's fantastic for your indie developer.
Well, there you have it.
Yes,
All right, thanks again for
it's
doing this
it's
with
an
me.
online game. Yeah,
I'm gonna try to
no
get you
problem,
back
man.
on. We'll try to make this a regular thing with me and you. But anyway, that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching, or thanks for listening, rather. And again, if you can follow me, you can watch the VODs on my YouTube. It's Captain Kirk SC2. You can follow me on Twitter, Captain Kirk SC2, or my Twitch is Captain Kirk 767. Drake, do you want to shout out your social media before we end this?
Don't know mine.
Okay, luckily for you, luckily for you, I have it. So it's at Drake. Your Twitter. Fuck, what is that? At
It's
at
Drake
Drake
in
in
three.
three. Yeah, so Drake in three. That's the letter N. So like Draken 3. I don't know. Your
Yeah.
YouTube we're gonna call it SC Subert SUBERT, and your Twitch is of course twitch.tv/TS underscore Ephotic APHOTIC. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week.
All right. Thank you.